Welcome back to Diaspora's Media. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. It really helps the algorithm, whether you like it or not, right? You don't like it, dislike it, right? And please hype it as well. We've been talking a lot about, again, just the arm of Pan Africanism, etc. But one of the things that came to mind was how difficult it is to quantify Pan African cooperation. Is this an economic number? Is this a matter of sovereignty? Well, are there any indices, right, in the fields of political science or otherwise that quantify this form of cooperation? And I don't think there really are, right? And one of the things that I wanted to start to do is build the framework for that. And this is part of what I came up with. Uh, this is what is known as, or what will be known as, the PASS dashboard, right? AKA the Pan African Scale Score, right? And the Pan African Scale Score is going to be an aggregation of a bunch of different things, right? So, for example, the central question is, to what extent is a country promoting, practicing, providing leadership, linkages with other Pan African organizations, or benefiting from Pan African principles, right? That is the question. And let me actually bring this back. That's the question, right? And the biggest thing is this: is can we aggregate these scores? Can we aggregate these metrics? Can we first take metrics? For example, a layered architecture, right? Similar to the Human Development Index, similar to the Democracy Index, similar to the Fragile States Index, right? The Global Peace Index, the Afrobarometer Index, right? Um, there's got to be a way for us to look at these metrics. So before we actually even get to the dashboard, let's take a look um, at the actual metrics, right? So this is something I wanted to start off with. So the first one, it would be the political Pan-Africanism, right? That'd be the first pillar. Pro-sociality, the state of pro-social behavior that is voluntary, intended to benefit the group, such as helping, sharing, cooperating, donating, right? This measures state level alignment with African unity, right? Indicators, treaty compliance, commitment to regional organizations. But again, some of these are up for debate. Then we have a diaspora engagement score, right? Cooperation. This measures the cooperation with the global African diaspora. Indicators, dual citizenship policies, right? Diaspora investment programs, etc. Then we have the intra-African economic integration. This will measure economic cooperation within Africa, percentage of intra-African trade as a percentage of global trade, joint infrastructure projects, things like that. The fourth one will be the cultural Pan-Africanism, right? Preservation and celebration of African culture, right? Promotion of African local languages, right? Do they have curriculums in their local languages? Do they have post-colonial cultural reforms? Number five is going to be security and solidarity, right? Like, this is, how secure is the country? Will African and diaspora members have protection in these nations when they're visiting? So peacekeeping contributions, counterterrorism cooperations, for example, right? Number six, anti-exploitation and sovereignty, right? And sovereignty is going to be weighted very, very strongly in comparison to the other ones, right? Resistance to neo-colonial exploitation, right? That's what it measures. Resource sovereignty, removal of foreign military bases, things like that. Number seven, development, equity, and justice, right? Development benefiting Africans first, poverty reduction, right? Healthcare access, educational reform, right? Income inequality. Then we have, social pro-sociality index, right? Pro-sociality within and across African societies, right? So this is indicators, right? Inter-ethnic pro-sociality, diaspora citizen cooperation, immigrant African inclusion, etc. Then we have the aggregation model. So now it's going to aggregate all of this stuff into a higher score. So using these metrics, I realized that this could be a dashboard that can be updated in real time. And so a great mock dashboard would be this right here, right? And this will be available to you all via the links when it is finished. But we're going to start a series as we perfect this metric, as we perfect this system. There's going to be a way that we can vet each country. We can start from the West. We can start anywhere. We can start from the South. We can start from Madagascar if we wanted to, right? And we can dive into this dashboard, right? I'm just going to start off with Kenya, for example, right? Political Pan-Africanism, about 4% above average, right? Diaspora engagement, 72, 8 points above average, right? But then you go to sovereignty, that's 8.3 points below average, right? And the sovereignty score is going to be high, right? That they're not necessarily as anti-exploitation. But then you go to a place like Burkina Faso, their sovereignty is going to skyrocket through the roof, right? That's a far different thing. Development, 1 point below average, which is really good. Pro-sociality, I would say, is really high, right? This scoring methodology we already went over, but I want to start to make pretty decent run through of every country that we have. Excuse me, I'm yawning a lot. I'm tired. But every country that we have in the continent, can we start to give it this Pan-African scale score and see if it passes? See if it is something that is usable. See if it is something that is that we can perfect and actually use in the lexicon of political science to gauge how we work. So now, as we look at different countries, can we go through all 55 countries and see which scores they're lacking in, see which scores they need to get better in, and see which scores that, you know, they are an example out of, right? And this is something I believe that can really do a lot of good as far as creating some rhyme and reason as it pertains to measuring the Pan-African actions of nations, as it pertains to measuring the cooperative actions among states. Since we were unable to fully unite during certain periods of independence throughout the entire nation, can we now create framework that allows a framework that is very integrative, right? That has an aggregate score of multiple different scores that measure multiple different things. Can we now use this dashboard, update this dashboard properly, and be able to have a true north for what is going on in the continent? And, you know, this is something that's just to begin. I think that this is a major point to move forward. We really cannot gauge progress without properly having the right metrics, without having the right graphic user interfaces that are interactive, right? And, you know, ultimately without having the right critique from our peers, which would be you guys, right? So this is something that I would like to soft launch in the next several weeks is, can we go through each country one by one and test, is this country passing, right? Does it get a passing grade from the Pan-African scale score? I would really like to know what you guys think about this framework in the comments. Not too long of a video today, just soft launching the Pan-African scale score. By the way, this is my IP. This is already there. So don't try it. But we will be back with more news and more just updates, especially with some Ask the Professor. I'm kind of tired, but, you know, I wanted to make sure I got a video for you guys today, and I wanted to make sure that we soft launched this, and you guys got a chance to see this GUI. Please tell me what your thoughts are on it. I made it clickable by country. You know, we can zoom in, we can zoom out. I plan on adding the islands, right? 17 are passing so far, but this is just a mock. Only a few literal data points for right now. We're going to comb and sieve the data points in the next coming weeks, so that we can get an as accurate as a score individually as possible, before we finally start aggregating. But I really wanted to make sure that we got things right from a GUI perspective. And I think we did that. So you guys tell me what you think. Tell me what you think about the grading system. Tell me what you think, the data, what data needs to be present for the aggregation of this score, right? Tell me all of your thoughts, and I look forward to reading your comments. And I might not respond to all of them, but best believe I read them. And shout out to everybody, and thank you for your support. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and we will see you on the next episode.